Modeling Clay Art Techniques with Ms.Boley. So these are the materials you're going to need. You're going to need some modeling clay. It usually comes in kind of little bricks like this. You'll also need cardboard or another type of flat surface that you can use to spread the modeling clay on. You'll need some tools or other objects that you can use to add texture to the modeling clay. So I'm going to be using a fork and a spoon, a butter knife, and some other objects that I found in my house, which you will see later on. What is modeling clay? Well, it is a type of clay that one of the ingredients in it is a type of oil. So because the oil in it doesn't evaporate, it remains shapeable and moldable even when you let it sit out in the air for long periods of time. So it doesn't really harden when it dries out. So it's a cool, fun material to work with. You will definitely notice when you start to work with it that it definitely has a little bit of an oily feeling on your fingers. All right, what are we trying to learn today? So our end kind of goal is that we're going to be making a picture by spreading the plasticine out onto a flat surface. And our picture is going to be of your choice of something summer related. So that's our end goal. But what we really want to learn about is different techniques. So one of them is kneading and squishing the clay. So that's one thing we're going to learn about. We're going to learn about mixing colors using the modeling clay and how to do that. We're going to learn that you can spread the clay out onto a flat surface like a piece of cardboard. We're going to learn that you can use the clay to create little different shapes. You can use it to model with. So in this picture we see someone has built some little fish using the modeling clay. And we're going to learn about sort of different ways to model the clay. So you can roll it into pancakes, you can roll it into balls, you can roll it into snakes. So there's a variety of different ways that you can model with it. And we're also going to learn about adding texture. So you can scratch into the clay like we see here. And you can also use objects to smush into the clay to give them texture as well, All right, so that's what we're going to be learning. Let's get started and let's try it out. Hi. So I am here with my different colors of plasticine. These are all the colors that came in my package of plasticine. If you only have a couple different colors, that's totally fine. As we know, we can mix all the colors with our 3 primaries. And if we just have white and black, we can make different tints and shades. So just a quick little review from our color mixing earlier in the year. Okay, now I wanted to quickly show you some tools. So these are some clay tools that you may have access to if you were in an in-person school. But since we're at home, we can use some materials that we have at home. So I'm using a fork and a butter knife and this little thing, this honey thing, and a chopstick that I got from my kitchen. And I'm also going to use a pencil to kind of draw into the plasticine. So there are definitely different options for you. So whatever you have available, use that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to knead the plasticine. So when you get your modeling clay or your plasticine, you're going to find that it's really hard and it's hard to work with and it's not very flexible. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your fingers and you're going to smush it like quite a bit. So I'm kind of just smushing my fingers together and opening them up, and then smushing together, opening up. And I can also use my whole hand. I can use my palm as well. I can pass the plasticine back and forth from hand to hand. And once I do this for a few minutes, it does actually take a few minutes, but once I do this for a little while, my plasticine is going to become warmer and it's going to become a lot more flexible and a lot more easy to work with. All right, so as I mentioned before, we can mix the plasticine together with other colors to create new colors. So I want to make a nice light blue. So I've just cut off a little chunk of white plasticine or modeling clay, and I have a chunk of blue, and I'm just going to smush them together. And I'm going to just use my fingers to smush. And again, I can do the same kind of kneading motion that I did earlier, passing it back from hand to hand until the two colors mix together. So you're going to see some streaks of white as it mixes in with the blue. That was after 1 whole minute of kneading, and finally now it looks mixed. And you can see my original blue and my new lighter blue, they're slightly different. So you can mix colors using your 2 different colors or 3 different colors of plasticine. All right, our next technique we're gonna learn about is spreading the plasticine. So you have probably built things, modeled things out of plasticine before, 3-dimensional things, but we're going to be doing a flat picture, and it's going to be a little bit bumpy. It's not going to be completely flat, but we're going to be taking the plasticine, making it into kind of a flat pancake shape, and then we're going to smush it down onto our cardboard, and we're going to use our thumb to spread it out. Okay. And once we run out, once it gets too thin, then we can add another flat pancake. And we can kind of fill up whole big areas with plasticine. And it's really fun and really relaxing to do this. Another way of mixing colors is we can actually take little chunks of different colors and we can spread them into areas that we've already covered in plasticine, and it makes a really cool effect. So that's another method of mixing colors, is that we can spread them along with some other colors. So look at that. That's a really nice blue and purple kind of colorful area I've created. All right, now we're going to learn about adding texture to our plasticine. So what I'm going to do so that I can try out some different tools for adding texture is I'm going to spread a large area of plasticine. So I'm going to cover this whole cardboard with plasticine. Give me a second and I'll be right back. So I have my whole small piece of cardboard covered up with plasticine, and now I'm gonna try out some different tools for adding texture. So I'm gonna use a fork, and I'm just gonna press my fork and kind of drag it a little bit against the plasticine and see what kind of texture that gives me. So that's really cool. That could even be like grass or something like that. And let's try something else. So I grabbed a piece of bark that I used for my mandala, my nature mandala, and I'm gonna press that into the clay, to the plasticine, and see what happens. So that gives me a lot more of a natural kind of irregular texture. Oh, of course I have to do a piece of Lego, stamp some Lego on there. So I can use certain objects to press their texture into the clay, and I can use other objects to scratch into the clay and draw into the clay. Let's try this popsicle stick. So So I think that looks super cool, and I'm almost thinking like for leaves of a tree, that could be kind of cool. So do some experimentations and try out some different objects. Be creative. It doesn't have to be a fork or a butter knife. Look, I got a plastic piece of lettuce here. Let's see what happens when I try that. So this is all about just trying things out before we start working on our final art piece. This is our experimentation phase. Look at all those different textures. Which one did you like the best? And which object did you find the most useful in making texture? All right, so now we're going to do some modeling with plasticine. So I'm grabbing some yellow and I'm just gonna do some kneading for a little while until it gets a little bit easier to work with. All right, so I think we probably have all made a ball out of clay or Play-Doh before. So if we pinch off a little piece and we roll it in between our palms, or if we roll it between our palms and the table in a circular motion, we're gonna get a ball. We can smush that ball down flat. We can make a little pancake. And we can also roll the plasticine into ropes or coils. So if we spread our fingers apart a little bit and we roll in an up and down motion instead of a circular motion, we're gonna get a long rope of plasticine. So we can use these different techniques and combine them with spreading and smushing and color mixing, and we can use them in our plasticine art. So we can take these long ropes and we can twist them together, which makes a really cool looking effect. So we just kind of twist one end and we hold with the other end, and it makes a really, really cool spiral looking shape, which I could then smush down and flatten a little bit onto my plasticine piece. We could also roll out some long ropes or snakes, and we can cut them and we can make some different sort of small details using these. I'm going to be making a sunshine, and I'm going to use these as my rays of my sun. And then I'm gonna grab my pencil and I can actually add some small details using a pencil by just drawing into the plasticine. So we can create our picture this way by modeling and rolling our clay into pancakes or ropes or other shapes and forms. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with some questions to think about as you do some experimentation with your plasticine or your modeling clay. So which technique did you like the best? Was there a way that you found that you could combine the techniques together? Was there something that you found that you really wanted to do but you weren't able to figure out how? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering. So go ahead and try a couple of these techniques. So try some color mixing, try some spreading, and try some modeling, and see kind of what happens and which ones you like the best. All right, can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks for watching.